Life is full of mystery, loneliness, and suffering, and it's all over much too soon. Yes, there is joy, fulfillment, and companionship, but the loneliness of the soul, in its appalling self-consciousness, is horrible and overpowering. If you are feeling lonely right now, you are not alone. We are all living in a global epidemic. It's not called the coronavirus or Mr. COVID-19, but it starts with an L called loneliness. Can you believe that 73% of Gen Z reports feeling alone sometimes or always? That's the highest level of any generation in history. And the WHO declared loneliness as a pressing health threat in November 2023. Loneliness is harmful to both physical and mental health, and is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Hi guys, I'm now back in my room in Swansea. Just came back a few days ago. Today is the first day of my semester. Went back to uni this morning. Had some catch up with my course mates. So far so good. Today I want to talk about some of the misconceptions about loneliness and the ways to tackle it. I want to talk about loneliness today because I feel like this is a topic not many people want to discuss, but a lot of people are suffering from it in silence. The first misconception many people believe about loneliness is that it is embarrassing to talk about it with their friends. And even if they talk about it, their friends are not going to be able to understand. You have to understand that loneliness is very common and very normal. It's something probably everyone has faced in different parts of their lives. So you shouldn't be ashamed talking about it. It's like when you get a cold, would you be ashamed to tell your friends that you are sick today? It's the same when it comes to loneliness. When you feel lonely, you should reach out to your loved ones. Talk to your family, or set up a call with the people you trust, or you can grab a coffee with a friend and just talk about it. It is important for us to know that we have to be honest and genuine about our emotions when we are lonely. I realize that it is often when we hide our true emotions that we feel lonely. Because when we hide our true emotions, it prevents us from having a deep conversation, and that prevents us from making genuine connection with our friends or with anyone. And that is one of the reasons why we feel lonely and we don't feel connected. I really love this quote by an Indian businessman, which goes, "What makes us lonely are the feelings we never share with anyone." I have been living alone for almost 2.5 years now, since the beginning of uni. And when I feel lonely, I would always call my parents, or I would set up a call with friends and talk about it. I realized that it is very important to be genuine about ourselves, especially be genuine about our feelings in these conversations, because this can help us connect with our loved ones. We can feel more seen and heard, and eventually we feel less lonely. Another very common misconception about loneliness is that the more friends we have, the less likely we will feel lonely. A lot of people may think that being alone makes you lonely. But if you're surrounded by the wrong people, it is actually the loneliest thing in the world. Sometimes being surrounded by people is the loneliness, especially when we realize we have no one to turn to. Sometimes we get into a room full of people. We want to express ourselves, or we want to share something with someone, but we don't feel comfortable doing that because we don't feel seen or heard. It seems like nobody in this room understands or empathize with us. We just want to leave this room and be alone to make ourselves feel better. It seems like when we are hanging out with friends, when we are surrounded by people, or when we are spending time with someone, we feel less lonely. But is that really true? Have you ever been in a crowded room but you still feel lonely? A lot of people may think that being alone makes them lonely. But actually being surrounded by the wrong people is the loneliest thing in the world. Now, as a third-year uni student, I would say I was a little bit childish when I was in first year. I remember I believed that I should have as many friends as possible to keep myself from loneliness. So I forced myself to hang out with as many people as possible and to spend as much time as possible with them. Sometimes I didn't even feel like hanging out with them, but I would still force myself to. And that made me really exhausted, and I had kind of lost myself. And guess what? I didn't feel less lonely. So now, as a third year student, I want to tell you guys that it is very important to have a good balance between spending time alone and spending time with friends. We need to have a good balance of both in order to truly get away from loneliness. Okay, I'm now gonna explain what we need to do to deal with loneliness. The most important thing to deal with loneliness, I think, is we need to recognize the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a negative feeling we feel. Maybe we feel sad or we feel upset because we are not able to spend time with anyone. Let's say we are staying at home and we don't have anyone to talk to. We're craving that social connection, but there is no one there for us, so we feel lonely. Whereas for solitude, it is a state we choose to be in. We choose to be alone. Let's say we watch a TV program by ourselves and we enjoy it. That is solitude. We have to be clear about the difference between the two. Speaking of the difference between loneliness and solitude, I really love these two quotes. The first one is from May Sarton. She said, "Loneliness is the poverty of self, whereas solitude is the richness of self." Indeed, loneliness is something nobody wants to experience, but solitude actually is something we need. We can't grow and learn without solitude. We have to spend time alone so we can be open to more chances to discover and know more about ourselves. And that is something we need. Another quote is from Douglas Kaplan. He said, "The time you feel lonely is the time you most need to be by yourself. That is life's coolest irony." Sounds a bit ironic, doesn't it? Yes, we need to spend some time alone when we are lonely. Spend some time to do something we like. If you like playing the piano, go and play the piano by yourself. You don't need anyone else there. If you like watching a movie, go and watch that movie by yourself. You don't need anyone else sitting there with you and watch with you. You can do that by yourself. I go to the gym every day by myself. I have lunch every day by myself. I'm learning a lesson called how to love myself, how to enjoy solitude, and how to find happiness for myself. And that is one of the most important lessons I've learned in life. We don't always need someone to be happy. We can find happiness from within. We have to know what our value in life is and build relationship with ourselves. Famous American writer Richard Nelson once said, "People who like themselves and realize that they are God's creation are never really lonely. It is only when we lose track of our own value and our personal connection with the divine that we are desperate for others to distract us from our loss." We need to know our core values. We need to know our values. It is essential for us to know what we believe in, how we perceive the world, and what our opinions are. Try to think what it is that you think is the most memorable memory in your life. What is it that makes you angry? What is an ideal environment to you? These questions will help you know what your core values are. When you know what your values are, you will find your identity in this world. And you will start accepting yourself. You will be happy with who you are, what you have. And you will stop comparing yourself with others. Do you spend a lot of time on Instagram and you always compare yourself with other people? Like, why is this guy richer than me? Why is this guy having more friends than me? If you are lonely, stop using Instagram. Social media is actually one of the factors why a lot of Gen Z are feeling lonely today. We spend a lot of time on social media. We see our friends hanging out with other people and we feel left out. But when you know your identity, you wouldn't have to compare yourself with others because you know your self-worth. You know you are enough. You're confident in yourself. The best way to practice building relationship with yourself is to spend time alone. It's like dating someone. When you are dating someone, you want to spend more time with them. When you want to build relationship with yourself, you want to spend more time alone. I have been practicing this the past 4 years by traveling on my own. If you have seen my last video, you'll probably know how much solo travel has transformed me. It really gives me that space to think and to reflect on myself as I spend a lot of time on my own when I'm traveling. It really enables me to think about what my core values are and to build relationship with myself. If you haven't watched that video, I will put the link in the description box down below. You may check it out. So there you have it. I hope you find this video helpful in learning how to deal with loneliness. Please comment down below what is the best way for you to deal with loneliness. And also please tell me, what do you usually do when you feel lonely? I would love to hear from you. If you like me as a person, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next video.